Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. We are up against the clock, so I'm not going to waste any time. Here's the intro. Here's the intro to the Week 7 Saturday previews. We got 4 on the docket, starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So without further ado, let's go. All right, so we got 4 games to talk, and like I said, just busy all the time. So we need to preview the 4 games, starting with our first one. It is a 5 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on the Yahoo Sports Network. It is our pillow fight of the week. 2 winless teams going at it as 0-4 Northern Arizona travels to 0-3 San Antonio. Now, one of these teams is going to have a win in their column. The other team is going to either be 0-5 or 0-4, depending on how it goes. Both these teams in certain games have shown a lot of promise, but can one of these teams put it all together and secure a victory in this one? Well, that's why we're here. Now, if you're new to this or not, whatever, normally there's pictures. They did not come through when I saved these files, so unfortunately you get blank circles. Just imagine their beautiful faces when we talk about our season leaders here. On the left side, our passing leaders, Ramon Atkins and Joaquin Collazo for Northern Arizona and San Antonio, respectively. Ramon Atkins, 54 of 109, 649 yards, 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So he's reaching that indoor version of Jameis Winston when it comes to touchdowns and interceptions and yards and all that. Joaquin Collazo, we'll see if he starts, but it's 36 of 64, 398 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, kind of that Winston level, but on a smaller scale. But all joking aside, I am curious to see if he gets the start or if Fred Payton gets the start or whatever the case could be, because both these quarterbacks have gone back and forth for San Antonio. So he is the leader in passing yards. This is the reason why he's here. We'll see if he does get another start. Rushing leaders, Ramon Atkins for Northern Arizona, so both rushing and passing for him. 32 attempts, 163 yards, and 5 rushing touchdowns. For the San Antonio side, KJ Smith, 22 attempts, 90 yards, and 1 touchdown. Both of these teams not necessarily utilizing the run as much as myself personally would like, but I don't know how their offensive schemes and tendencies are. But Atkins able to scramble and improvise and stuff like that. Smith has had some dedicated runs. They've tried to get the running game going a little bit in San Antonio, but they're 0-3 for a reason, and that's, it's not because of the running game, but they get behind, they kind of abandon it, and they are forced to pass. So it's the reason, kind of the reason why. Too many cooks in the kitchen for both these teams. Marlon Cook, your leading receiver, and Dion Cook, your leading receiver. I don't think there's any relation between the guys, but too many cooks right here. 17 catches for Marlon Cook, 210 yards, 6 touchdowns. And Dion Cook, 12 receptions, 177 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. There's a lot of guys with the last name Cook here. You got the kicker for Arizona, and I think there might be one more. I think we have like 3 or 4 Cooks in the Indoor Football League, but 2 of them are playing in this game, and that's really cool. Injury report. Northern Arizona has not really had any updates. Jordan Jakes and Jai Nunn Lindell have been added, have been added as of last week. And for San Antonio, a couple of additions. They've gotten a couple of guys off of short-term injury reserve, but Zach Patterson and Octavius Oxendine, who just recently got signed, has been put on short-term injury reserve along with Zach Patterson. Other than that, everything's kind of status quo. Taking a look at our game odds presented by DraftKings, we have a 1.5 point favorite for the San Antonio Gunslingers. I don't know if that's just home cooking or not. We have an over/under of 80.5, so not that many points being scored. They're thinking, roughly 42 points, give or take, 38 to 42, roughly in that range for both sides. And then minus 125 for the favorite at home for San Antonio, plus 105 for Northern Arizona if you want the road underdog, and then plus 1.5 obviously for that too. We are at the Freeman Coliseum in beautiful San Antonio, Texas, again on the Yahoo Sports Network. We'll see how it kind of goes, man. But our series head-to-head does favor the Northern Arizona Wranglers 2-1, although San Antonio did get the last laugh the last time these two teams met. Week 19, I believe that was the final week of the season last year. San Antonio gets the victory to get their 1 in that win column, 49-30. So other than that, Northern Arizona had won the previous 2 matchups. Now San Antonio looking to make it 2 in a row themselves. We'll see how we can kind of conjure it all together. But as for right now, we need to go take a look at our 25-man rosters, take a look at our bet and our prediction, and we got 3 previews still to go after that. All right, 25-man rosters on the screen here. We need to take a look at the away side first. For the Northern Arizona Wranglers, Ramon Atkins Frazier and Caleb Lowe are your quarterbacks, with Atkins Frazier most likely getting the start, barring anything weird. Caleb Lowe being the backup with that. We move over to the running backs with Benjamin Obeabu and Nolan Susel being the only two running backs on the roster. Susel, he's been suited up as the starter for most of the season. I don't see anything changing, but again, we'll see what kind of happens in this game, if there's any kind of changes. I'm kind of curious to see if anything does. So Susel will start. Omeabu, he's been in the special teams and things along those lines. So if he does play, he might get some carries, if that, but I know he's been pretty good in the return game. Wide receivers include Stephen Lewis, Karan Ashley, Kylan Herrera, and Marlon Cook Jr., along with Kobe Smith to round it out. Karan Ashley, he's kind of come into his own, but we'll see if he gets the start. He has been on the bench a little bit. I think the last time Northern Arizona played, it was Herrera, Cook, and Smith were your starters. Smith obviously rocking that Guardian cap from the concussion that he had, I believe, either in the first or second game of the season. Offensive linemen include Stacey Wilkins, Ryan Atkins Frazier, Robert Malcolm, and Ben Key. Wilkins, Atkins, Frazier, and Key are going to be your starters. I don't remember if Malcolm suited up in the last game or not, but he is there if he is needed to be called upon to do so. We'll see if he gets into the game or suits up at all, but your three starters are kind of the three they've had all year. Defensively, Malik Ritchie, Ryan Johnson, Victor Obi, and Zachary Vincetti, with Ritchie, Johnson, and Vincetti being kind of your mainstays. Obi is suited up. He's played some special teams, gone through that, but for all intents and purposes, it's kind of like the main starters for Northern Arizona have been pretty much set throughout the season, except for this one. Linebacker, Kalen Hicks is here. Trey Pinckney, whoever it's been at linebacker, they have not had really any consistency. So Kalen Hicks, the veteran, the former Northern Arizona Wrangler, if I'm not mistaken, he's kind of been around for a little while, but yeah, he's here. He's most likely going to be your starter unless they throw a defensive back in there, or unless someone on the defensive line goes in. But for all intents and purposes, he's going to be the starter. Defensive secondary includes Traveris Farrell, Kieran Page, Devaya Gabor, Brendan Looper, and Daiwan Griffin. I'm trying to remember, because Kieran Page, I thought he hadn't played, but he's clearly suited up. He's clearly started. So it's going to be Farrell, Page, I believe it's Gabor, and Looper, but Griffin gets in there. I mean, I'm curious to see, because I think they've all kind of rotated some starts from here and there. But for the most part, all five are going to suit up. All five are going to play at some point. You just kind of move on from there. Kicker, big boy, Nestor Aguera. He's actually really, really good at kicking these deuces. We'll see if he can hit another one in this game. To the San Antonio side of things, Fred Payton and Joaquin Collazo are your quarterbacks. Who starts? I don't know. You don't know. Maybe even Jonathan Bain doesn't know as the head coach, but I'm sure he does. Collazo got the start in the last game, and even the game prior to that, Fred Payton started the season, but I'm curious. We'll see. Fred Payton looked really good in the game that they just had, but Collazo, he's looked good coming in relief, so who knows? Running back Shen Butler Lawson is off a short-term injured reserve to kind of help out the running game. KJ Smith is there, so I'm assuming Smith is going to get the start, barring anything weird, but Butler Lawson, he's there if you need him. Wide receivers, Deion Cook, Deion McShane, Austin Upshaw, Derek Rose, Lowell Patron, and Josh Hardman. So Lowell Patron comes over from former Green Bay Blizzard, former Jacksonville Shark for like 1 or 2 games. But they've actually added to this wide receiving depth. Derek Rose coming off of short-term injured reserve, signing Josh Hardman. They're getting a lot of help that they need at the wide receiving category. Deion Cook looks the part, Austin Upshaw, and even Deion McShane. They've all looked pretty good. I want to see what's going on with the other guys that they've signed and who gets in and who kind of has the opportunity to ball out. Rose 6'4", Josh Hardman 6'5", so you go from there. Offensive line includes David Connor, Kobe Williams, Dejon Carroll, and CJ Morrell. The top 3 are most likely going to be your starters. Morrell did play special teams, kicking game, holding for extra points. Not holding, but he was on there for extra points and stuff like that. Defense, Conroy Cunningham, Nick Evans, Daniel Williams, and Terry Beckner on that defensive line. It was Cunningham, Williams, and Beckner that started the last game. Nick Evans didn't suit up. I didn't see him at least. So we'll see if it's more of the same. Nick Evans has been starting up until recently, so we'll see how it kind of goes. Linebacker, Kendrick Gant. We'll see what happens with him. I think it was Ra Dilworth, who is no longer on the team, that played linebacker in the last game. So Kendrick Gant's got to be good to go. Otherwise, they need a defensive lineman or someone in the secondary for it. Secondary, which we just spoke about, Ravarius Rivers, Christoph Page, J.J. Dallas, Larry Brooks, and Jalen Jimerson. So I'm assuming all 5 of them are going to suit up at one point, along with all 4 of the defensive linemen. Like, I think all of these guys on the defense are going to suit up. They're going to rotate in and out and play when it comes to that. We'll see how it kind of goes. Kicker is Tyler Huddle. There's your 25-man roster for your San Antonio Gunslingers. That was your 25-man roster for your Northern Arizona Wranglers. So with that, we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction. And we still have 3 more previews to go after this. All right, bet and prediction time for this one. Upset? I don't know. Plus 105 for Northern Arizona. So I think San Antonio can pull out this victory, but I'm pulling an upset because of how Northern Arizona's kind of played. And the reason why I say that is they've played in closer games. They had a 2-point loss against San Diego, which, for all intents and purposes, they played well. They just couldn't get the job done. They were leading against Arizona last week, couldn't get the job done. They were playing against New Mexico pretty well, couldn't get the job done. Is this an opportunity for them to finally get the job done? I think it is. So I'm going with the money line here. I could go with the spread and give myself that 1-point buffer, but what's the use? I'm not saying that games don't come down to 1 point or 2 points or whatever, but at the same time, I'd much rather take the better odds, plus 105 plus money, instead of minus 110 for the spread. Now, with that, I don't know if I trust Northern Arizona. I don't know if I trust San Antonio. This is the reason why the spread's so close and why it's a toss-up, because both these teams have lacked a lot. And for certain people, myself included, I had a lot of promise, at least in my head, for San Antonio, and have for the last couple of years, and I probably need to let it go. Some people have had a lot of promise for Northern Arizona this year. They probably need to let that go. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of the beast. Someone's going to get the first win in this game, and I don't know who it's going to be. You know, it's a tough thing to predict, because on the one end, San Antonio, they've played some close games. They played Tulsa close. They've looked. I mean, the offense leaves a lot to be desired, but their defense looks all right, all things considered. How does that defense go up against Northern Arizona's offense? I think it can benefit them, but I also think Northern Arizona's defense and what they've gone through, again, they've played Arizona, they've played San Diego. I'm not saying that San Antonio hasn't played good teams too, but at the same time, I think Northern Arizona's just been a little more battle-tested than San Antonio, and I think the roster that Northern Arizona has and the continuity with the coaching staff and everything with what they've brought back from last year to this year, I think that can benefit them a little bit more in this one. My prediction for this game, 40 over here, I can't remember what, either way, over here, 43-38 in favor of Northern Arizona. It should be close. It should be a back and forth affair, and for all intents and purposes, man, I can see San Antonio winning this. I can. Like I said, they played Vegas kind of close until it eventually just kind of got away from them. But at the same time, the score was not that close, and the offense sputtered. The offense sputters for Northern Arizona too. You might pick the under 80.5 here, but with the lack of defenses, maybe the over hits. I'm not sure. So I'm going with something where I just think it's, I wouldn't say safe, but I trust Northern Arizona just a little bit more. And that's no shot at San Antonio. I like Joaquin Collazo. I like Fred Payton. We don't know who's going to start or if someone's going to get pulled. You know, how short of a leash do they have when it comes to quarterbacks? Can they get a running game going? Can they get Dion Cook cooking? You know, Marlon Cook, can he get cooking for Northern Arizona? It's going to be a battle of the cooks. Call this Chopped. I don't know what to tell you. Or Cutthroat Kitchen. I mean, anything you want to call it. Holiday Baking Championship. I watch all of those, by the way. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I fucking love cooking channels. Sorry I cussed. But anyway, I love cooking shows. But yeah, what we have here is just how do you go through this? Both offenses are decent in their own right, but when it goes up against stiffer competition, they kind of wilt. I want to see how this goes, because I think they play each other one more time, if I'm not mistaken, and then of course you still have to play New Mexico, Tucson a couple of times and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. That's just where I kind of have it. I think Northern Arizona's roster is just a little bit better, and they've shown me a little bit more even in their losses. Those losses could have been wins. Like, if things bounce Northern Arizona's way, there's a chance they're 3-1, 2-2. I'm not going to say they're 4-0, but there's an opportunity that Northern Arizona looks decent, dare I say, if things just kind of break their way a little bit. Now, could it be more fraudulent? Sure. For San Antonio, they played Tulsa close. That's kind of all I have, man. They looked all right against Vegas until it just got away from them. They have not. That offense is just a huge question mark for me. We know that Northern Arizona can run the ball with Atkins. Susel has gotten some carries, but if they can get that running game going to be more balanced and really work on those wide receivers, whether it's Ashley, whether it's Kylan Herrera, whether it's not Marlon Cook, Kobe Smith, Karan Ashley, whoever it is, I think that works a little bit in their favor. You get a little bit of turnover of linebacker and all of that stuff with San Antonio. I'm calling it for Northern Arizona, man. So plus 105, 43-38. I think they're just a smidge better. So that's where we have it with this. We need to go take a look at preview at number 2 as we roll along with our Saturday slate. All right, preview number 2. We're in for a doozy, man. We're in for one in this one. It is the Fisher's Freight at the Iowa Barnstormers. Do we even need to preview this one? Yes, we do. But yeah, just a couple weeks ago, these two teams met, and it wasn't fun for one team. It was probably fun for another team, but they meet again. And in those 2 weeks, a lot of changes have happened for Iowa. Not so many when you're cruising like Fishers, but Iowa has, they've kind of, I don't know, say revamped is the best way to put it, but they've had some roster turnover trying to figure out the best methods and ways that they can pull out a victory this season. 4-1 Fishers on the road to 0-4 Iowa. I believe this is their second home game of the season. It is 8 p.m. Eastern time on overnight, so catch it where you can. Again, files didn't save for the pictures. Imagine their beautiful faces here, but for our season leaders, Felix Harper, 45 of 60, 457 yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. For the Barnstormers, Ivan Corbin, which, will he start? That's a big question. We'll talk about 25-man rosters and stuff like that in a minute, but will he start? 11 of 21, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Rushing leaders, same guys. Felix Harper, 65 attempts, 266 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns. It's almost kind of half of what he's done passing. He's actually run more than he's thrown when you look at the attempts to pass and attempts to run. Ivan Corbin, your leading rusher for the Barnstormers, 30 attempts, 90 yards. I think he beats out Najee Bryant-Lele by 1 yard, and then he's got the 1 rushing touchdown to go with it. So there's some rushing there for Iowa. Receiving leader, C.J. Wyndham, 13 catches, 144 yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns for the Freight. And for the Barnstormer side of things, Curtis Ravenel, 16 catches, 205 yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. We take a look at our injury report for Iowa. We'll go to the bottom there first for Iowa. There's nothing to report, just Terry Jones Jr. from a week ago. And then Fishers has 2 guys added here. They've taken a couple of guys off of injured reserve, and we'll talk about that. And then they've added Nicholas Lennon and Jaden Rowe to your injured reserve to go along with Jaron McGaugh. So some movement right there on the short-term injured reserve list and season injured reserve list, but not too much. I mean, Jaden Rowe is a huge hit, but they haven't played with him in a couple of games now, and it hasn't really made much of a difference. Game odds presented by DraftKings here for both sides. Buddy. Minus 19.5, almost 3 touchdowns. And again, what happened 2 weeks ago? It was a 30-point blowout. I get it. Minus 19.5. There's like no credit given whatsoever. And our over-under 90.5. So they're expecting points here. If you drop it right down the middle, it's 45-45. But then you have to kind of they're looking at a 55-35 victory here in favor of Fishers if you do the odds and how they go about it. Minus 1,100. My God. Why? At this point, you're better just donating your money to something else, man. Because if you bet that for Fishers on the money line, you better have a huge chunk of change for a little investment, man. If you want some money back, a $10 bet's going to get you $70 if you think Iowa is going to pull the upset here. We are in the Casey Center in Des Moines, Iowa. Beautiful venue, by the way. I went there last month. I encourage everyone to go, man. Go to an indoor game, honestly. Quick side note, go to an indoor and arena game. Get off your butt and go to one. If you're not in an area, find the closest place. It doesn't have to be indoor football league. Just go. Your life will change, man. It's beautiful. Anyway, yeah, 8 p.m. Eastern time on overnight. It's going to be a game. How else do you say it? It'll be a game. Our series head-to-head does favor the Freight 3-1. Their last meeting being just a couple weeks ago, week 5, with them blowing out the Barnstormers 63-33. However, Iowa's only win last year did come against the Freight. Can it happen again? We'll see. And it did come in Iowa, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see how it kind of goes with that. But we need to go take a look at our 25-man roster for this one. We need to take a look at our bet and our prediction. And we move on with that because we still have 2 more previews to do. So let's continue on. All right. We have to talk the 25-man rosters as they're on our screen for both sides here. Starting with the away side as we do. Felix Harper being the only quarterback on the roster as it has been practically all season. Nothing's changed. I don't know if this offense has changed really anything in the last couple of weeks, man. It's just been rolling. I don't know about the team as a whole, except for some guys getting off of short-term injury reserve, but still. Dominic Roberto and Josiah King are your running backs with, I don't even know who's going to start because both guys have played well. So if Roberto gets the start because he played well against Tulsa, otherwise King might get the start. We'll just kind of see how it goes from there. Your wide receivers include J.T. Stokes, Isaiah Coulter, C.J. Wyndham, Jalen Green, and Jordan Davis. Your top 3 are going to be your starters, Stokes, Coulter, and Wyndham, with Green and Jordan Davis being your backups. Jordan Davis, as we've mentioned in almost every preview, has been, or I think every preview for them, has been the backup quarterback. He has seen some action at the quarterback position, so we'll see if he gets any action in this one. Offensive line includes Kerry Reynolds, Quinston Sharp, Daryl Simmons, Jeremiah Rogers, and Navon Donaldson. Jeremiah Rogers coming off of a short-term injured reserve. We'll see if he slips in there, if he's starting or not. But Sharp, Simmons, and Donaldson are more often than not your starters. They've been the starters, I believe, all season, or pretty close to it. Reynolds has been your super sub, and with Rogers coming in, we'll see if they just add more to it or not. To the defensive side of things, Jalen Swan, Leon Smalls, Bryce Bass, Darius Long, and coming off of short-term injured reserve as well, James Wright IV. Same kind of deal. Your starters, if I'm not mistaken, have been Swan, Smalls, and Long. Bass is suited up for a game or two. We'll see if Wright does the same thing here. They might carry all 5 defensive linemen, but we kind of know who the starters are, all things considered. Linebacker is Cornelius Montgomery. He's done a decent job of that. If not, it'll be Marcus Gray, which, I forgot to space that one out because he's not in the secondary. Well, he is, but he's not as of right now. Other linebackers, Marcus Gray, but he'll slip down to the secondary because as our secondary includes Donnie Lewis Jr., C.J. Parrish, Kendarius Smith, and Devin Williams. Donnie Lewis, C.J. Parrish, Marcus Gray, I believe are going to be your starters in the secondary, and I think Devin Williams was the starter last week against Tulsa as well, but Kendarius Smith did get in there if I'm not mistaken. So your kicker is Callum Sutherland, who he's cooled off as of last week, I think, but doesn't mean he can't get on a heater. Hitting some deuces, hitting some field goals, things along those lines. And that's where we have it. That's your 25-man roster for your Fisher's Freight. Over to the barnstorming side of things. Offensive players, your quarterbacks, Ivan Corbin Jr. and Dante Aviles Santos. Aviles Santos was in camp with the San Antonio Gunslingers at one point, and I think he was somewhere in the NAL, or maybe AF1. He was in a different league until eventually getting signed over here to the Barnstormers. So that means Harrison Rubidou is gone. So we'll see how it goes with this. I'm not sure. I don't know who starts if Corbin gets a second start and they need to wait a week or two if Avila Santos doesn't know the offense yet, or if they're just going to throw him to the Wolves. We'll kind of see what happens. Running backs include David Elder, the former Northern Arizona Wrangler, and Najee Bryant-Lele. And Elder is kind of your jack of all trades. Return man, running back, wide receiver, kind of how Northern Arizona used him. We'll see if Iowa does the same thing and how he kind of attributes to that offense, because that is a nice little boost to the offense. Is it going to make a difference against Fishers? I don't know. Wide receivers include DeMonte Martin, Donald McKinney, Andre Williams, Joshua Simmons, and Curtis Ravenel Jr. Again, it's a solid wide receiving core. They might need them, depending on how low they get behind or anything along those lines. But for all intents and purposes, man, it's a solid receiving core. What can they make of it? I would try to run it against Green Bay. We'll see if they want to try and run it some more against Fishers, a team that stops it in practice all the time. Offensive line includes Nicholas Orr, Tyler Castaneda, McLean Doja, and Tyrone Chambers. Nicholas Orr will slip over to the defensive line. I think he either started there or has played there quite a bit. So he is your tweener. He is an offense and defensive lineman. So I put him at the O-line to kind of add some depth, but he has played on the defensive line more than he's probably played on the offensive line at this point. So that means Castaneda, Doja, and Chambers are more likely your starters. Defensively, Ja'Karius Smith, Tyler Tate, new signings, Michael Fields, and Jakari Larman. So Larman, former Arizona Rattler earlier this year, and again, if Nicholas Orr slots in there, we'll see if he gets the start or if they kind of go with Fields or Jakari Larman. Michael Fields was with, I believe, the Oregon Lightning and Washington Wolfpack or something like that in the AF1. So, he's got some experience when it comes to that. Linebacker, Austin Edmonds. No one else is his backup, so he's most likely going to be the guy to go there. And in the secondary, Amon Ross, Eugene Ford, John Adams Jr., Trayvon Pope, Jazir Merricks, and Richie Coffey. So 6 defensive backs right there. Only 4 can play. 2 will either suit up or be depth pieces or not play at all. John Adams Jr. being a new signee. He was with Washington, if I'm not mistaken. I talked about it on Shady Sports. He was a player of the week. So does he suit up, go right away? I'm not necessarily sure. It remains to be seen for me, but that secondary has more than enough veteran presence with Ross, Ford, Richie Coffey, and now John Adams. So we'll see. Well, not that John Adams. He was the president. This John Adams plays football. So we'll see how that goes. Your kicker is Jonah Edwards, and that is your 25-man roster for your Iowa Barnstormers. That was your 25-man roster for your Fisher's Freight. Now, we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction for this one. You can guess who might win this game, but we still have to make a case for Iowa pulling the upset. Let's call a spade a spade. But let's go take a look at all that stuff. We still have 2 more previews to go after this. All right. Bet and prediction for this one. It worked the last time. Minus 19.5 for Fishers. And I think 2 weeks ago it was minus 17.5, and they blew the doors off of them. So I don't know what Iowa is. And that's the tough thing, because I think in their game against Green Bay, the broadcast was saying that, Iowa wanted to be a running team. And you kind of saw it with Corbin. You kind of saw it with what they were doing with Bryant Lele and everything like that. So is that more of the same? Well, if that's it, then why did you bring in Dante Aviles Santos, or I think that's his name. Otherwise, I got his name mixed up. I apologize. But why did you bring that in? What roster turnover are we doing? What identity does Iowa want to be? And then you look at the stats, man. If this team wants to be a run-first team, Curtis Ravenel is receiving really well. He's catching the ball really well. And a lot of these guys, too. Andre Williams, former Blizzard player, he's been decent, all things considered. McKinney, Simmons, DeMonte Martin, the wide receivers are all right. Can you run the ball to set up the pass? I'm not sure. And I'm not saying Corbin looked timid out there trying to throw the ball, but running the ball was definitely his forte instead of throwing it. So I'm not sure. What I do know is one team does like to run the ball, and that is the Fisher's Freight, and they made no bones about it in any of the games that they've played so far this season, and I look for them to do the same thing here. And that's where Iowa's defense is going to get tested. They've made some moves on the defensive side of the ball, not a lot, but they've brought in some guys. They've released a couple of guys. Is that enough to stop Fishers? No. In what realm, and I'll ask this because I kind of preemptively asked it earlier in the segment, in what realm does Iowa pull the upset? Low scoring. And you have to stop Fishers on 3rd and 4th down, and you just can't do that. I'm sorry. I try to be as unbiased as possible here. I'm not even a Fisher's Freight fan. I'm trying to be as unbiased and try and give Iowa their flowers. I just don't see it. They've already been blown out. They got destroyed by Green Bay. I'm not saying the wheels are falling off. This is a completely different team than what they are the last couple of years, but the first 6 games of this season, we've talked about in their preview, and I talked about it with Trey from Off the Wall in the interview that I had with him. Their first 6 games of the season for the Barnstormers are against the same 3 teams: Fishers, Green Bay, and Quad City. You haven't won against any of them. I don't see anything really changing here. Now, again, could this be the Orlando Pirates game, the Massachusetts Pirates games of years ago, where they come out hair on fire? They're at home and they deliver an 81-60 blowout? Maybe. I just don't see it with the way that this the way that this roster is constructed. Could you get it low scoring and be a 35 to 34 win or something, possibly. But the way that Fisher's offense is just scoring points at whim, man, they looked down against Tulsa and they still put up 40. And that was with holding calls and stuff, taking some big quarterback runs back too. So I just don't see it. My prediction for this one, 59 to 38. It's a 21-point victory. It covers the spread. It's going to be kind of on the same wavelength as what they were just a couple of weeks ago, man. I don't think they're going to get up to that, and I even gave Iowa a couple more points. You might be able to take the over in this one if Fisher's scores. I'm not sure if they'll take their foot off the gas or anything like that, but obviously the money line's too rich. The over-under is there, but I can see a realm where Fisher's takes their foot off the gas and then the under kind of hits. Iowa backdoor covers in a sense, or whatever it could be. I could also see something where they take their foot off the gas and Iowa scores a bunch of points and the score looks respectable, but we know that Fisher's wasn't really trying in the fourth quarter. So I'm not sure. So I'm going to take minus 19.5, and if Iowa covers it, they covered a 3-touchdown spread, which is impressive by Iowa standards, but I think a lot of teams have covered 3-touchdown spreads, not named Iowa, throughout this season, so I won't be too impressed. I will be absolutely gobsmacked if Iowa pulls out this upset, man. And I don't know, clown emojis and everything like that, but I don't see it. With what Felix Harper's doing, and he only throws like 10 passes a game or less, they're just going to run it. I don't know who's suiting up at running back, whether it's Roberto or King. You go from there. If you're Iowa, you need Bryant Lele in there. I don't know enough about Dante Avila Santos, so if Corbin gets the start, they're going to run. I think Fishers might be able to shut that down, and we just kind of go from there. So that's where we have it. We've got minus 19.5. Like I said, it worked the first time. Let's see if it works again. Who knows? A couple extra points added to that spread. We got a 59 to 38 victory in favor of the Fishers Freight. So with that, we need to go take a look at our third of 4 previews, and we just keep moving on. All right. We need to talk preview number 3. We are back on Yahoo Sports, and under the surface, this is a sneaky good game if everything plays out correctly. We need to preview it. We have an 8 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. Tulsa, 1-2, not the best record to start, but it's not where you start, it's where you finish, taking on the 3-1 Arizona Rattlers, who they know a thing or two about not starting strong, but finishing really well and kind of lifting some trophies. So, Arizona looking to go 4-1 in this one and drop Tulsa to 1-3, which, do you press the panic button if you are the Oilers, or can you pull out a victory in the snake pit? So, taking a look at our season leaders, again, if this is your only preview you're watching, files didn't transfer over like I wanted them to, so just imagine their pretty faces. TJ Edwards, your leading rusher and passer for Tulsa, and your leading rusher and passer for Arizona, Max Myler. So for Edwards, 55 of 95, 624 yards, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And for Myler, 46 of 72, 638 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. For the rushing side of things, TJ Edwards, 22 rushing attempts, 66 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. And that'll be something that we touch on a little bit, is the lack of running game that Tulsa has had. However, Max Myler, 172 rushing yards on 31 attempts, 8 rushing touchdowns. To the receiving categories, Germanic Smith, 23 catches, 258 yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns. And Arlen Bruce for Arizona, 12 catches, 168 receiving yards, just the 1 touchdown, which, like I said, I could have sworn he's had more than 1 receiving touchdown, but I guess not. Taking a look at our injury report, Jaleel Billingsley on the short-term injured reserve. He is added just as of a couple days ago. Otherwise, Jamal Bell and Cassian Foreman, they stay on here. For the Arizona Rattlers, Sergio Moranci has been added, which he's been on and off of the short-term injured reserve as it is gone. But other than that, everything else kind of stays the same for both sides. Taking a look at our game odds here presented by DraftKings, we have a minus 5.5, so not quite a touchdown, but minus 5.5 at home for the Rattlers, plus 5.5 for the Oilers on the road. We have an over-under of 83, so this kind of just seems like a typical indoor football league game. Roughly a touchdown favorite for the Rattlers, but yeah, some points in this one. You put it right down the middle. You're asking for 42 points or 41 points roughly for each side, and then you add a little bit more for Arizona, take a little bit away from Tulsa. Plus 164 for the Oilers on the road, minus 198 for the home favorite in Arizona. Speaking of home favorite, We're at the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. Again, a 8 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff from the Yahoo Sports Network. Our series head-to-head, well, there's not really much of one, man. They've played one time since 2023, Week 7 of 2023, with Arizona taking the victory 53-46 in a pretty close game. But you have to go back to last year, or maybe even 2 years ago. Arizona had home and homes with Green Bay. They've had home and homes this year with Fisher. So it's like they've kind of taken their trips on where they want to go. I think 2024, they also played Jacksonville and a couple of others. So they're known to play teams in the East, but they kind of schedule those home and homes and stuff like that as we go along here. But for the most part, it's kind of a straightforward game. No fuss, no muss when it comes to it. You're just going to put on the pads, suit up, and get right after it if you're either of these teams. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward game here with Arizona and Tulsa. We need to go take a look, though, at the 25-man rosters. We need to take a look at our bet and our prediction for this one, because even though it's pretty straightforward, there's still a lot of underlying things that we also need to talk about. So let's go take a look at all of that. We still have another preview to do after this as well. All right, taking a look at the 25-man rosters as they're on our screen here for the away side, and I'm just going straight forward with this. This preview is taking too damn long. Straightforward with this, TJ Edwards and Clifton McDowell. TJ Edwards is number 4, not 44. Edwards is going to be your starting quarterback. Clifton McDowell is going to be your backup. Your running back is going to be Anthony James Jr. We'll see how well they use him and what capacity they do within the running game and receiving game and everything along those lines. Receivers, Jerminic Smith, Larry Harrington, Spencer Tiers, Nick Rempert, and signing Mike Kerrigan, veteran of the indoor game. He's been around for quite a while. He was with Tulsa at a minute, and then he got released like right before the season started. He was signed at one point. I don't know if it was actually official or anything like that. So he is now officially signed. So we'll see how that goes to go along with Harrington, Smith, Tiers, and Rempert. I think those top 3 guys are going to be your starters, with Rempert and Kerrigan probably being more of your depth pieces. Offensive line, Landon Burton, Terrence McClain, Brandon Baldwin, and Vashawn Bailey. I think the top 3 guys are going to start. If not, Bailey might get the start over Baldwin, but I know those 2 guys kind of flip-flopped a little bit when it comes down to it. Defensively, on that defensive line, Nusi Milani, John McMullen, Kevin Thurman, and C.J. Wright. C.J. Wright coming off of short-term injured reserve, so adding some depth to that defensive line. Also, Marquez Bembry might drop down there if needed. We'll just kind of see how it goes, because I think the starters for the game against Fishers was not McMullen. Actually, it was McMullen, Thurman, and I think Bembry, or actually Milani got it. Either way, we'll see who suits up, who plays, rotates, does all of that stuff, because you do have some depth there at that defensive line. Linebacker, Dylan Petway, as we mentioned, Marquez Bembry right there. I don't know how much linebacker he'll play. Petway's kind of solidified it a little bit, even to the point where Trey Harvey hasn't really had to drop down to the linebacker spot. Defensive secondary for the Tulsa Oilers, Tariq Bracey, Sedarius Doss, Malik Saunier, Mark Shepard Jr., Frederick Millay, and Trey Harvey to round it out. And that secondary, again, you got 6 guys right there. 4 of them will start. 2 of them will be your backups. I'm curious to see how it kind of goes. It's been kind of Shepard, Saunier, Harvey, and I think Doss has gotten in there too. But Bracey's played, Millay's, they've all played. So we'll see how they kind of rotate, kind of like that defensive line and even a little bit of the wide receivers to see who gets the start in this one, because we know Arizona's going to kind of air it out a little bit. Your kicker is Bailey Hale, and that is your 25-man roster for your Tulsa Oilers. Over to the Arizona side of things, Drew Powell and Max Myler are your quarterbacks, with Myler getting the start and Powell being the backup. Your running backs being Kaimani Clark and Ron Brown Jr., with, I'm assuming, Ron Brown getting the start, but Kaimani Clark's been a little more explosive in the recent games, and kind of see how that goes here. Who plays, who spells the other, if they both suit up, or what goes on. Wide receivers include Trey Odoms-Dukes, Corey Reed Jr., Arlen Bruce IV, Keenan Hambrick, and Jordan Horace. Horace coming off of short-term injured reserve, being replaced by Sergio Moranci, so one goes off, one comes on. It's mainly been, Bruce, Reed. Actually, it's been Reed, Odoms-Dukes, and Hambrick, with Bruce being more of your return man, so we'll see what happens with that, or how Horace gets kind of into the game there. Offensive line, Jake Parks, Mike Brown, Sama Palma, and Christopher Strotter. I think the first 3 guys started in the last game. Strotter, can't remember if he got into the game or if he started or not, but again, they've been rotating the offensive line a little bit, so all things considered for Arizona, can't go wrong with any of those 3 picks, all things considered, but Palma sometimes being the odd man out. We'll see how it kind of goes in this one. Defensive line includes John Pius, Carson Taylor, Reginald Pearson, and Jalen Bass. Pius, Taylor, and Bass being your starters, Pearson being your super sub, but he does play a little bit, so we'll see how that kind of goes. Linebackers include Hayden Hatcher and DJ Lundy, with Hatcher being the starter and Lundy being the backup. And in the secondary, Amir Wallace, Yasin McKee Sr., Kenny Gallup, Otjo So, and Carl Vansky DeCius. And 5 of those guys, 4 of them are going to start. I think Gallup might have been the odd man out, or maybe Wallace. I cannot remember in their last game against Northern Arizona, but we kind of just mosey on from there. We'll see how it goes and how they rotate and who suits up and who doesn't. Finally, your kicker is Matthew Cook, and that is your 25-man roster for the Arizona Rattlers, your 25-man roster for your Tulsa Oilers. And with that, we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction. We'll get one more preview done out of here on the way. We'll wrap everything up. We'll get out of here. All right, so we need to talk bet and prediction for this game now. Caveat, first half of this video was in daylight. I was trying to get this video out before the games kicked off or anything like that, and that didn't happen because today has been a very chaotic day. So if you're watching this, I do truly appreciate it. I'm trying to recuse myself from watching any of the games and trying to catch up later on, because that's all I feel like I've been doing for the last week or two, has been trying to play catch up on all of this stuff. So if you're here watching this and bearing with it, fantastic. I appreciate you. You are the real OG. If you've skipped past this, it's fine too. But one mental breakdown later, here we are. Minus 198 for the Arizona Rattlers. They're just the better team. And it's hard to beat Arizona at home. It's doable, don't get me wrong. But with the back and forth that Tulsa has had against Fishers that they had last week, the back and forth that they've had against San Antonio, and the loss to Orlando, there's a lot that leaves to be desired with the Tulsa Oilers. Now, the caveat to what the Oilers at least have when it comes to this, let me see if I can move my light source a little bit, if that helps or hurts. The caveat to this is TJ Edwards is a very good running quarterback, and we know that Arizona has had troubles with the run and with the running quarterbacks and stuff, i.e. the Fishers game, but they've also had trouble sustaining, getting running quarterbacks in the past as well. The downside that fits Arizona is Tulsa's not really running the ball that well, man. They just are committed to the pass. Like, they barely run, and this is something that has not really set Tulsa up for much success, is from last year to this year included. They don't have a designated, they do have a designated running back now, but they didn't really last year, and they didn't really utilize the run game last year. They did, but they didn't. You know what I mean? And the fact that, yes, they would run the ball a little bit, but it was kind of up on TJ Edwards to do it all in that sense. And it's not to say Jimmy Smith in the past or Hassan Rogers, whoever, wasn't running the ball or getting carries, just like, Jamal Bell or Anthony James is not getting. They are getting carries, but it's pretty much at the whim of TJ Edwards. And right now, I think I've mentioned this a couple of times, Jerminic Smith is roughly in the top 5, maybe top 10, but I think in the top 5 when it comes to receiving yards. And the fact that you have him and Spencer Tiers kind of balling out right now, the receiving game is really good for Tulsa. I think that can benefit them a little bit, but I think Arizona is starting to come into their own, all things considered. On the Arizona side of things, yes, they have gotten out to some shaky starts as well. They were down against Northern Arizona. They looked like garbage against Fishers, although they were scoring points. Yes, there was some taking the foot off the gas there, but that's not to say that, that's not to say by Arizona standards they look like garbage, but in all actuality, they still had a really good game. They put up 42 points. They just ran into Fishers. So, for all intents and purposes, for Arizona, they've looked pretty good. So my prediction for this one, 48-40, I think it's going to be a close one, man. I think it's going to be a little closer than some people think. The spread says so in a sense, but I do think Arizona covers that spread. I do think they get a touchdown, possibly 2, but I'll err on the side of caution, say 48-40 with this. I think the Rattlers are the better team. I said that in the very beginning of this, and that's perfectly fine. I think the Rattlers are the better team. I think with what they're able to do offensively, running and passing, being able to mix in Ron Brown and Kaimani Clark, keep that fresh and keep the defense on its heels, Arlen Bruce is coming to his own. We know that, I'm blanking on number 9, Corey Reed. There we go. We know that Corey Reed is a very good mainstay. Like, he is a very stable wide receiver. And we know that, depending on who they go with, whether it's Trey Odoms-Dukes or Keenan Hambrick or whoever the case could be, we know that the offense can move the ball if they absolutely need to. So, for all intents and purposes, I think Arizona is just kind of the better team. Can Dylan Petway get pressure on Max Myler and make him uncomfortable? On the flip side, can Hayden Hatcher kind of corral TJ Edwards in the backfield and, make him uncomfortable and force him out of the pocket to run, because he can run when he needs to. But I do think that injury might be a little scary for Edwards. Now, I'm not saying he's scared or anything like that, but there might be a reason why they're not running the ball. And I'm not blaming it all on the injury or anything like that. It could be the offensive scheme, and that's fine. But this is not the Tulsa/Frisco offense that we've seen of years past with TJ Edwards manning the helm. Yes, new coaches, new everything. I get that. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, it's not the same thing that we're used to seeing when it comes to TJ Edwards manning the offense. So that's where we have it with this. Minus 198 for Arizona, 48-40 in favor of the Rattlers. And with that, we need to go take a look at our final preview of Saturday night. All right, we need to talk the final preview of our Saturday if you are still with us. It is New Mexico. It is Vegas. It is a quasi-revenge game for all the former Vegas Nighthawks that are on New Mexico and now play their former team. We are on overnight. It is a 9 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. The 1-3 New Mexico Chupacabras checking in at the Vegas Nighthawks. They are 3-1 on the season, so kind of the reverse score, and even more of a reverse 0-1 for New Mexico, 1-0 or 0-1 on the road, 1-0 at home for Vegas. So yeah, we are going to either see someone go 2-3 and 3-2, or 1 win, 1 loss as we go 4-1 for Vegas and 1-4 for New Mexico. So we'll see how it goes. See, you've seen my thoughts and everything already when it comes to this. So at least if you watch Shady Sports or anything like that, I think Vegas will be the better team here. But, we need to take a look at our season leaders on the left side. Jerome Johnson, your leading passer and rusher for the Chupacabras. He is 58 of 98, 596 yards, 16 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. It's not bad going to a brand new team and being the guy. Now, there has been some issues and stuff like that with snaps in the offensive line, but, for all intents and purposes, those stats, they're not bad whatsoever, even with all those issues. Jaden Delora, 52 of 67, 601 yards, 14 touchdowns, no interceptions. We are 7 weeks into this season, and Jaden Delora has not thrown an interception. Can you believe that? That is insane. Now, yes, they've only played 4 games out of the 7 weeks, but regardless, still no interceptions to be thrown. So, kudos to him. Like I mentioned, Johnson is your leading rusher for the Chupacabras, 23 attempts, 135 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. And Josh Tomas, 44 attempts, 138 yards, and 6 rushing touchdowns for him. So some pretty even yardage stats when it comes to that, but Tomas has had way more rushing attempts, and Jerome Johnson might have some sack yardage added or deleted from that. He might actually be over 135, but with the amount of sacks and improvising and yards for loss he's taken, yeah. Receiving leaders, Damon Street, 14 receptions, 197 yards, 5 receiving touchdowns. And Quentin Randolph, 20 receptions, 219 yards, and 8 receiving touchdowns. So again, kind of some similar stats right there, just 6 more receptions for Quentin Randolph, which that could be a full game or two, to be honest, but the yardage is almost there. The touchdowns are almost there. Damon Street's having a pretty good game, or a pretty good season, all things considered. Quentin Randolph, he's just doing exactly what he does. So, did I put an N instead of an H? Yeah, Randolph. Oops. Anyway, yeah, I had to take a look at that. Randolph. It's Randolph, not Randolphin. So now we've got a new nickname for the guy. You got Q and Q4, and now Randolphin. Injury report. Nothing to report for the New Mexico Chupacabras, and only 1 addition and 1 subtraction for the Vegas Nighthawks. John Irby, he took the shot that he did, and he winds up on the short-term injured reserve. And we'll talk 25-man rosters, but you do get a key addition back for the Vegas Nighthawks, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Our game odds here presented by DraftKings, 16.5-point favorites over 2 touchdowns for the Vegas Nighthawks at home, plus 16.5 if you want New Mexico on the road, over under of 87.5 with our money line plus 500. So a $10 bet nets you $50 if you're a New Mexico fan and you want the upset. Minus 700, not that big of a return if you want to bet $10 if you are running Vegas with that. So you got to have a big chunk of change. You see where Vegas is kind of, well, the Vegas, the casino, they're putting their money on Vegas, the team. We're at the Lee's Family Forum in Henderson, Nevada. Again, this game is on overnight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And our series head-to-head, dating back with the Duke City Gladiators and everything along those lines. Week 14 of 2024, Vegas defeating Duke City 53-39 as they have a 3-2 head-to-head advantage. So again, another notch here. You got to remember, though, at that point in time, Vegas was not, well, in 2024, Vegas was becoming the Vegas that they are now. But you remember, just a couple of years ago, Vegas was going 6-10 as they're trying to, slowly build themselves up to the juggernaut that they are now. But at this point in time, roughly around this time, you're wondering, is Duke City good? What's going on with them? And then obviously, ownership changes hands, the rebrand happens, and we're here with the Chupacabras. So let's go take a look at our 25-man roster. We got a bet and a prediction. Wrap up. We get out of here. All right, 25-man rosters on the screen as we get into it. For the New Mexico side of things on the away team, Jerome Johnson, Donovan Portieri are your quarterbacks. Johnson going to be your starter with Portieri being your backup. Looking at the running back situation with James White and Walter Wilbon. Wilbon is suited up for a couple of games, at least I think. There have been a couple of there's been a player with no nameplate, but it matches the number. So I'm assuming that's Wilbon as he's playing. I don't think he's had a single carry in this game or in the season. But he's played special teams, so unless that's someone different, I'm not sure. But he's been number 21, but with no nameplate on the back of the jersey. So I'm assuming that's who it is. Either way, James White going to be the starter here, going to get the bulk of the carries, and we'll see how it kind of goes with the running back position. Wide receivers, again, pretty thin here. Only the 3 to talk about: C.J. Jefferson, Demonstrate, Isaiah Crocker. They'll be your starters. No one else to back them up, but we'll see if Wilbon or White slips into that slot position, go for wide, empty set, whatever the case could be when it comes to that. Offensive line, Daniel Bostic, Dante Ogburn, Jake Sines, Arthur Chandler, and Ryan Franz. Curious to see how it kind of goes. I think the last game it was Sines, Chandler, and Franz, but Bostic did suit up. Dante Ogburn, if I'm not mistaken, was part of it as well. Maybe not part of the last game, but he's been a part of the offensive line too, so curious to see how it kind of goes. Defensive line, Maurice Jackson, Keandre Hall, Luke Kelly, Allen Love. No changes to the defensive line. All 4 are going to play. 3 of them are going to start, whoever it's going to be, and then you just kind of have your super sub. And I think it's been kind of a mishmash. Like Maurice Jackson, I think, has started every game, and I think Kelly has too. So it might be between – actually, I take it back. Kelly I don't think has started. I think it's been Love and Jackson, and then Hall and Kelly have kind of alternated starts. Linebackers. So this is – weird because the last game that New Mexico had on the road against Tucson, Cameron Bright was wearing number 8 because the nameplate on the back said Bright, and they kept calling him Marvin Pierre because of the number. So the number has not necessarily changed, but Marvin Pierre did not play against Tucson last week because the nameplate said Bright, unless there was something different. Neither did Wes Bowers, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm curious to see who's going to start at linebacker here. Does Cam Bright finally have his number? Does Marvin Pierre make another start? Does Bright make another start? Where does Wes Bowers fit in? We don't know. And until they take the snaps and all of that stuff, we don't know. Secondary, Jacius Clark, Gleason Spreewell, Greg Dent Jr., Tycorian Brown, and Jared Assad. 4 of them have to start. 1 of them is going to be a sub. And, I mean, it's nice to see New Mexico has a full 25-man roster here because they've been kind of iffy between 22 and 24 most of the season, and they're not the only ones doing it. It's a huge gripe that I have that teams are just not filling out their roster. I don't think it's a cost-cutting measure or anything like that, but it's just insane to me. So we'll see how it goes in that secondary too, as well as the rest of the roster. Your kicker is Ben Derby. Moving over to the Vegas side of things here, Jaden Delora and Avon Rucker are your quarterbacks. Delora going to be your starter, and Avon Rucker is going to be your backup. Josh Tomas is your running back with no backup or anything in sight, so he's going to be the do-it-all guy. And then Deshaun Stoudemire is off of short-term injured reserve, just in time to face a bunch of players that played for your team last season. Quentin Randolph, Seneca McKee, and Phoenix Sproles rounded out, so there is now some depth there at the wide receiving room. Like there wasn't before with John Irby and stuff. Yes, I get that. But Deshaun Stoudemire, he's going to most likely get the start, depending on how it goes with Randolph. And I'd throw Sproles in there. McKee's probably going to drop back to kind of your super sub level when it comes to that. Christian Coulter, Sidney Walker, Zach Fortier, Charles Turner, and Moses Mallory for that offensive line. They'll I don't know if they suit all of them up. They'll suit 4 up. They'll start 3 and have a sub there. I think Fortier either started or was that sub at one point, but Coulter, Walker, and Mallory mainstays on that offensive line. We'll see how it kind of goes. Defensive line, Cedric Wilcox, Lorenzo Hernandez, Kevon Bennett, Damon Williams, and Billy Martin. And they've rotated starters. They've rotated. I mean, your mainstays are pretty much Lorenzo Hernandez and I think Billy Martin in the middle. Other than that, I mean, they've kind of rotated. Wilcox has played, Bennett's played, Williams has played. We'll see who also suits up, super sub, all of that kind of stuff with it too. Linebackers, Trinilius Tatum and Ian McBurrow, and same thing here, keeping bodies fresh. McBurrow has started games, Tatum has started games, and they've kind of gone back and forth on who plays, who starts, and like I said, it's kind of a war of attrition throughout the season, and they're rotating bodies. They're keeping it healthy and still scoring 60 points to boot. In the secondary, Bryce Hampton, Clifton Duck, Fred Flavors, Terry Robertson, Ershad Davis. I think they'll suit them all up. I'm amazed that Bryce Hampton hasn't gotten more playing time, being the accolades that he has, but he's doing work when it matters, and Clifton Duck doing some work as well. He's had a very good season to start. Fred Flavors, a nice breath of fresh air. Roberts and Ershad Davis have made their names known too with the defensive plays that they've made. So secondary is deadly as ever. Your kicker for Vegas, Gabriel Rui, and that is your 25-man roster for your Vegas Nighthawks, your 25-man roster for your New Mexico Chupacabras. And with that, we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction. We need to take that, and then we wrap everything up, we get out of here. All right, bet and prediction time for New Mexico and Vegas. This one, I feel like this is like the easiest bet I could think of. Some of these bets are really tough, and Vegas, the casino, knows what they're doing. I'm going over 87.5 with this one. I think Vegas, the team, can put up a lot of points in this. They've put up 60 routinely plus, and I don't know if they have any signs of slowing down. I see that as, excuse me, I'm getting the hiccups here. I see that as a good thing for the over, because if you can score 60, that's already 27 points, 28 points that New Mexico has to come up with, and New Mexico has scored points, but I know Vegas can hold up their end of the deal. Can New Mexico hold up their end of the deal? Now, with all the issues that happened against San Antonio, the over was still going to hit with that. With all the issues that have gone on in previous games with previous teams, the overs have still hit. And I see this one kind of being no different. Whether it's the snap issues, whether it's Jerome Johnson kind of running for his life, I don't really know. Now, again, to go about this, if New Mexico wants to win this game, they have to play perfectly. At least in my opinion, they have yet to play a perfect game. And to be honest with you, I don't think Vegas has played a perfect game either. They've come close, but I don't think Vegas has played a perfect game. There's definitely some issues and miscues that Vegas has had, plenty more with New Mexico. But if New Mexico wants to pull the upset in this one, you literally have to force Jane Delore to throw an interception, which he's not done yet. You have to force him to be uncomfortable. He has not shown that. And so if you can get in there, I think the issue is who starts at linebacker. How do you get pressure on him? Because as I've discussed with Trey from Off the Wall in the interview, how do you stop a team that is multidimensional? They run the ball well, does Vegas. They throw the ball well, does Vegas. Their defense is scary. They will blitz you. They will drop into coverage. They will pick you off. They will force sacks. New Mexico has done that against Tucson, man. They've got a blocked field goal. They've got a pick six. They've got kick returns against Orlando, against them and stuff like that. So, there have been plenty of mistakes. There have been snap issues. There have been, was it a safety or a ruse or something like that? There's been a lot of crazy things that have gone on for New Mexico. There have been some games that New Mexico probably should have won. I don't think this is going to be one of them, man. And they have won a game. Let's call a spade a spade. But at the same time, if you told me in the offseason that New Mexico wins this game, I'd be shocked. If you told me right now New Mexico wins this game, I'd be shocked. I don't think I'm going to be shocked, to be honest with you. My prediction for this one, 57-38. Now, that's almost a 20-point victory. That's what, a 19-point victory. So I'm giving them some grace. Vegas, less than 3 touchdowns. They cover the spread, but that's over our 87.5. That's what, 95. So it can be done, and that's being gracious. That's giving an extra field goal, 35 points, whatever the case could be. If New Mexico, or even if Vegas scores another touchdown to go 60 plus as they've done already. Vegas just keeps doing what they're doing. Getting Deshaun Stoudemire back, that offense looks even more lethal. It's not a knock on John Irby or anything like that, but Stoudemire's proven his worth from Northern Arizona to now. The defense looks as scary as ever. And if you think Jerome Johnson was improvising against defenses like Tucson, oh buddy, they they got Trent Tatum or they've got Ian McBurrow. That defensive line looks scary. We'll see how it kind of goes, man. And then drop back that secondary. If you can just take out one of those wide receivers and take out, I'll erase him from the play, not bash his knee like Nancy Kerrigan. If you can erase Demond Street, you're going to force a one-dimensional Jerome Johnson to scramble and improvise and try and extend plays. And sometimes that works. Sometimes, as I've always said, you're kind of left there with your jaw on the floor going, what did he just do? And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. So I think that's where we have it with this. We got an over 87.5. Vegas taking the victory 57-38. Like I said, it could start out close, but if there's any miscues and Vegas is able to capitalize, it can get out of hand pretty quick. So that's where we have it with this one. We've got Vegas winning pretty big, their second home game, and New Mexico dropping to 1-4. So with that, we need to go wrap everything up and get out of here. We'll make that quick. I know. I'll tell you right now, the time of me kind of finishing this recording will be 9 p.m. at night. So most of these games will already be either finished or pretty close to finishing. So you can watch my preview. Like I said, I've recused myself as much as I can. My TV's not on. I don't have anything. My phone is all the way on my bed and all of that stuff. So it's like I'm trying to recuse myself and try and make this as unbiased as possible. I know it's late. I know the game's already going on. So if you're watching this at any point, you're like, hey, let's harken back to what he thinks. Cool. So I'm kind of using this as a time capsule to be like, how do I think the games are going to go without actually watching any of the games? So with that, let's wrap up. Let's get out of here. And that is it for our Week 7 Saturday preview. Yes, I know it's late. I just mentioned all of that, and I do want to apologize. It's been a chaotic week, chaotic couple of weeks, and I don't have an excuse. The mental health, everything else, the overwhelming feeling, it sucks. And people get like this, and that's okay. And I'm going to get emotional talking about it because I'm a vulnerable person. I've learned to speak with my emotions and learned to not really hide them anymore like I used to. So it sucks. It's an overwhelming feeling. I'm a one-man job doing all of these graphics, doing everything like that. I don't have to, and I understand that. I can quit all of this and give it all up and just watch the games like a normal person, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not a normal person. I'm weird. I'm dumb. I like football too much. I like indoor football too much. So it's overwhelming. It's stressful. Work is busy. The regular 9 to 5 is busy. Being a dad is busy. Going through all the stuff I'm going through is busy. And I want to take this moment to, as I've said in previous videos, just check on other people. I've already had people message me. People like Trey, like Alec, reach out because I've told them, and even the people from Shady Sports, that I'm overwhelmed and I'm having a mental breakdown. And, I thank you guys for being there. A lot of people are there, and again, I'm not shouting into the void that I'm having a mental breakdown, but, for the people that I have told, it truly means a lot for people to check in. And I want to echo that. If you're struggling, if you're feeling like I am, stressed, overwhelmed, like the world is going to end, even for something as tedious as a football preview video, it's not the end of the world. And that's something I have to put into perspective. I got completely overwhelmed with this, dropped everything, said, fuck it, I'm going to scrap all of this and throw it away and quit and stop and do all that. And then I took my kid to the park and played with her for an hour and went, I'm going to cherish these memories, and I'm going to be the dad and father that I want to be. So, yeah. But I try not to get choked up because I love my daughter. But yeah, if anyone's struggling, man, never hesitate to reach out. Never hesitate to do anything like that. And that's kind of where I want to leave it with that. So, yeah, I kind of wear my emotions on my sleeve now instead of just stuffing it down with alcohol and not talking about it. And that's what you do. But anyway, taking off here, guys. I love and appreciate you for everything. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. If you want to, like, comment, share, subscribe. We got a whole bunch of recaps. We got a whole bunch of football to watch. So I'm going to finish this up, edit, get it out, and I'm going to turn on the TV as soon as I can because there is a 4 o'clock pillow fight that I need to go watch. So with that being said, I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you guys for everything. Until then, I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.